Welcome to the Geekz 31 Days of Horror for Halloween. This is Lil.
And this is Steve.
And tonight we're reviewing Black Death from 2010. Yes, 2010. So for those of you who have not been with us before, I'll play for you our rating system.
There's a rating system in place that we like to call 0 to 0. If whatever horror movie we're reviewing is terrifying only to the most infantile who get nightmares from PG-13 reboots, it gets a 0. If it's a gorgasm-inducing slaughter party that satiates your most devious and monstrous desires, it gets a hero.
Set during the time of the first outbreak of the bubonic plague in England, a young monk is given the task of learning the truth about reports of people being brought back to life in a small village. This is actually starring some people we know. Eddie Redmayne and Sean Bean. So, 2010.
The real question is, does Sean Bean make it out of this movie alive? Wait for spoilers.
This is the only movie I know Sean Bean lives in is National Treasure. Right? Like, I don't know.
I don't remember
any other movies.
So.
Well, the first one, like, that was the one he was in. He lived.
Well, it wasn't in the sequel, so I don't know.
He died off screen. So, Black Death.
His character got cancer and died in between movies.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
So dark. So, Steve, what did you think of Black Death?
Funny thing about Black Death, I have started Black Death probably a dozen times and fallen asleep.
Every time?
About a half hour into the movie every time. I only ever made it to where they're like walking around and they get to that first group that's trying to burn that witch and Sean Bean kills her. That's about as far as I've ever gotten into the movie. And so this gave me a good excuse to finish it. And I think my subconscious was right in falling asleep because it was a kind of a boring waste of time. It's not very scary, like, at all. The scariest part about this movie, Lil, is that this shit was real. People were crazy back then. You think people are crazy now? I mean, they're crazy now, but at least we have the internet. We have air conditioning and fucking, good food. Like, back then, they would just walk in and be like, we have a new god and you don't believe in him, so we're going to kill you all. And they would do it and then leave and nothing would it was just wild, man. Like, they could just do whatever the fuck they wanted. Crazy times. And they do crazy shit in this movie. And I think that's the scariest part is just how disgusting people are. Yeah. But there is no real supernatural element to the movie. It kind of pretends there is for a little while, but very quickly explains it all away. And I thought Eddie Redmayne did a pretty good job. He was giving it his all, but I don't really feel like the material really demanded that. Sean Bean was pretty good. Eddie Redmayne felt like he was acting too much for this movie. And then there's this whole fucking epilogue where he's like a whole different character. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And
well, because it to me, that's the horror part. That's where it was that end what turned Eddie Redmayne into what he became.
Right.
That was like the one element, right?
Yeah, but then do this whole movie as an intro. Do this all before the opening credits, and then let me see Eddie Redmayne's fucking Reign of Terror. I want to see that movie. As far as that goes,
Eddie Redmayne's Reign of Terror. Now that's a movie.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah, that's what I would rather see. So for this movie, actually, it's not a 0. It has definitely some redeeming qualities. I thought the cinematography was pretty good. The setting, the locations they picked, the costuming department, all that stuff. it was really well done. There was absolutely no score really to hang your hat on. So it's I don't want to give it a low sidekick either, because that kind of means that I didn't like it. And I didn't really like it, though. I'm not going to watch it. It's a low sidekick. I'm not going to watch it again.
I was going to say, get to it, Steve, because I know what you're at. And it's a low sidekick. And I agree with that. And the thing is I'm going to give it props, right? In the same props you gave it. I actually liked Sean Bean's cast of characters that was out with him. I liked all those characters. I thought they were interesting, right? The lack of the real supernatural because that's the thing. I read about this and I was trying to figure out because it seemed like at one point that it seemed like it was two different movies, and they did want to go supernatural originally. The second half of the whole script was rewritten into what it became, which is fine, but it's not a horror film. This is,
Right.
Sean Bean literally like left the set of Lord of the Rings. I mean, even Jenny was watching. She's like, he's got the same damn haircut. Like, it's like he must have just even brought his entire wardrobe with him. Like, it was just like literally.
Yeah, he just took the breastplate off. He took the thing with the insignia off, and there he was there.
Now in this movie, but
spoilers.
I enjoyed the movie for some of it, for what it was doing.
I liked it until they got to that town, and then the town kind of was like it pretended for a minute the movie was something different, and then they so quickly went away from it that I just felt like, well, what was the point of all that then? Like I just sat through 20 minutes of nonsense then.
I agree. I think they if they would have made the town a little more supernatural, I would have liked it a little more. Probably would have gone to a sidekick realm.
They're only in town for like an hour before shit hits the fan. It's not like they're hanging out there and you really get to know anything about the town. Like they show up in town in mid-afternoon, they settle down for dinner, and shit pops off at night. So
yeah, exactly, and that's what it is. I mean, and there was one scene with Sean Bean where
that's a pretty gruesome scene.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, okay,
shit, that might bump it up to a sidekick right there because
give me the good depth. I mean, you know what? This movie is 13 years old. I mean, he gets pulled apart by horses. Awesome. And he has the plague. He has the plague, and he's happy about having the plague because he's going to release it out on this town. Great, fantastic. I like that. And it's really
it's fucked up. They make that one guy renounce his faith, and then they just take him out in the woods and murder him.
And hang him.
God.
Yeah, they murder him and hang him. And I was like, well, okay, then that's where we're going. Like, no matter what, they were gonna die, no matter what they did.
True.
And the lady who was pretending to be a witch, was a pretty messed up woman, man. Like, she drugged Eddie Redmayne's girlfriend, and made him think that she brought him back to life.
Well, first she made him think that she was dead.
Yes, well, that's what I mean. Yes, and then that she was going to bring her back to life, and then when he saw that, he couldn't. He believed it that she brought back a zombie, and then ended up killing her because he thought she was not really alive, which was messed up. Because then she told him, she's like, "Oh, she was never dead. She was fine." I was like, "That's
that twist felt not like this wasn't the right movie for that twist. That's a modern twist. And it's just like, I just didn't. I mean, it is the catalyst that turns Eddie Redmayne into a fucking emo murderer. So
I did like that. Like, all of a sudden, he seemed like it was the costume, of course, because he's a small dude, but he looked all big and chiseled, and he's just out there murdering every woman.
Long hair, black cloak. He is a spurned man what is that called? What is that called, Lil? He's like he hates all women. He's all moody. It's like
I mean, it could be called a lot of things.
There's a word for that.
I was going to say he was taking a line out of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3 with his little emo look, but the movie's okay.
But it's not one I'm going to revisit.
No,
there's no point.
I've seen similar types of movies done a lot better, and I hate that they classify this as horror, because I even saw this. I think it was on another site. I think it was either HBO Max or Peacock or something listed in the horror section. I'm like, this is not a horror movie, at all. Yeah, they do the plague thing. This is a early century. I guess maybe you could call it religious horror, because they're talking religion and what everybody's doing. They're trying to kill witches, but It just didn't fit. The movie felt like it was multiple movies, and everybody acting in it was acting in different movies. They're all doing their part well, but it just didn't connect. That's where I'm at. It didn't connect. Sean Bean's having this heart-to-heart with Eddie Redmayne about, God and everything, and it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know where we're at.
Yeah. I like all the different categories this movie falls into. I like horror. I like religious movies, not like religious movies, but like religious horror. I like, sword and sandal stuff. I like a lot of that fantasy element, but this one just didn't lean enough into any of it, really. It just kind of dabbled in each. It set itself deep in, the bubonic plague times, medieval times.
Yeah, which was nasty, seeing people covered in the plague.
But they very quickly just went into the woods, and then they found this little hut village. This whole movie they filmed in like 2 acres of someone's farm,
Yeah, they found a forest preserve and just walked through it.
But I don't know. It's not the worst movie in the world, but I mean, I think it's worth one watch. Check it out. It does have those redeeming qualities. Like, you're never gonna see Sean Bean get drawn and quartered unless you watch this movie. And that it's pretty wicked. Like, they don't show everything in gruesome detail, but you do see that body split apart. And
you see the arms flying.
It's pretty rough. So at least for that, I'd say that's its one, like, holy shit,
redeeming quality.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, there you go. So thank you for watching or listening, whatever you're doing. And this is Will.
And this is Steve. And until tomorrow night, everybody, keep it creepy.